Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Gold Eagle Open, sponsored by Latitude 64. We are back at the Beachside for round 2 back 9 coverage. This coverage is brought to you by patrons of Park Pro and, of course, PGA Canada, just supporting events all over Canada. Can't be thankful enough. This is Andre in the commentary booth, and I got Jesse with me.
What's up? What's up?
As mentioned, it's round 2 Beachside. It's an exclusive course to the Gold Eagle Open. This is the only time you can play this course, and I think a lot of people come to this event to play, not only one of the best courses in Saskatchewan in Jackfish Lake, but, this is no slouch either.
Yeah, we've seen some beautiful holes, long guys running along the water and tight technical stuff in the park. I'm really excited to see what this back 9 has in store.
Here is your card. If you haven't caught round 2 front 9 coverage, go back, check that out. There's some action. Noah started off with a really hot round from round 1, and Thomas was able to chase him down after Noah showing a few kinks in the armor.
Yeah, absolutely. And not shown on these cards here, we did check in with the chase card a lot in the front 9, and those guys are putting on a ton of pressure to make their jump to the final round lead card.
Yeah, and that final round will, of course, take place back at Jackfish Lake. But for now, we got hole 10. It's a par 3, 257 feet. If you caught hole 8 and 9, it's a very similar looking hole. It's a kind of a low gap here. A lot of tight trees. This is maybe one of the more open ones that they've had in a while.
Yeah, it looks like a challenging angle with the mid-fairway gap being slightly offset to the final opening into the green. It's going to take a very precise shot or some funky angles to truly park this one.
Yeah, we have the talent on this card to be able to do it, especially with the amount of forehand plays that these guys are capable of here. Let's see if they opt for that. Looks like Noah's going with the backhand here. Fortunately, catching that tree branch.
Should be a simple up and down for him, but not something he wants to see on a sub 260 hole.
And this is Eric, and that is the second time we've seen that low burner forehand from him. He's just not having a round up to his standards. And watch Jacob catching trees on the left-hand side as well.
Yeah, the gap might be getting in these guys' heads a little bit, not executing to their fullest potential so far.
Let's see if Thomas can make the correction here. Nice low backhand, unfortunately catching that tree. That will look good out of his hand, but didn't quite get it to where he wanted.
Yeah, just a little more dance to the right around that tree, and I'm sure that would have been under the basket.
Here is Eric with his upshot. I mean, the fortunate thing for most of these guys is that this is a little bit of a bigger fairway than what we've seen over the last couple of holes. Should be able to recover.
Yeah, and a great approach from Eric. He's probably thinking he wished he did that off the tee.
Jacob, maybe not as flat as he'd like on that forehand, crashing out, but he should still have a putt.
Yeah, that's unless it's scooted behind some foliage, that's a 20-footer.
This is just a great upshot from Noah. Maybe a little bit longer one than he wanted, but so watch the grenade here.
Yeah, it's either very steep hyzer or a grenade. Getting some backwards roll, still leaving a bit of a tester putt, regardless of how well he got up and down over the trees.
Here is Thomas on this putt.
Oh. Pro side, giving those chains just a tickle, but just not quite on the pole there.
Yeah, and after chasing Noah down here, it's kind of evened out a little bit here.
Yeah, he had a ton of movement in the opening of the round to catch up. Noah leading by 5 strokes at one point, and now things have settled in with Noah's 1-stroke lead.
So watch Jacob put in his par. Able to get that one drop. Thomas getting the bogey, giving another stroke back to Noah, as we mentioned. Here's Eric. Just kind of woes all over the course for Eric. He's the odd man out on this card.
Yeah, he's definitely fallen off the pace a little bit, and that forehand release doesn't seem to be doing him too many favors. It's a little bit streaky, and I'm sure if he figured that out, we'd be seeing a much different story on his scorecard.
As we jump ahead to the chase card on hole 11 here, we saw Luke. This one is a challenging green to push, and if you wanted to get aggressive like Luke, you're going to end up with some danger. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get that one to drop, but Kyle and Marshall looking a little bit smoother and just a little bit playing it a little more safe than Brandon and Luke here.
Yeah, Brandon playing it over safe, never making it far enough to settle in on the island.
And there's Luke continuing that aggressive play and, putting that one on a big hyzer and able to get it to drop into the cage.
When Brandon skips one off the top, lucky to settle down and stay in bounds.
As Marshall puts in his birdie, that will get you strokes on this hole. As you can see here, lots of out of bounds to contend with. There's Kyle's drop-in birdie. It is a real risk reward hole. As we will fly it now. It's hole 11. It's a par 4, 450 feet. Very straightforward shot here off the get-go. Lots of grass, lots of areas to play this one, but you're going to want to try to make this somewhere near this flag. It isn't mandatory, so you can't go over that side to try to crash something over. A lot of guys that have the arm will try to push this as far as they can out and give themselves a nice approach. As you saw Luke, he was going for the eagle there, but a lot of these guys will just be looking to lay this one up to get their birdie.
Yeah, anything inside of 100 feet probably feels pretty good coming into this green, as long as you've got the appropriate angle. Look who it is. 2 shirts, Greg Gatsky himself, wearing an umbrella hat. There is not a more accurate representation of Greg than that.
Here is Noah. He's got the power to try to get there. He's going to try to bite off as much as he can. Just keeping this one in bounds.
Yeah, that's a great shot. He's in jump putt range and can choose how he'd like to lay that one up.
And we haven't mentioned it yet, but this is one of those odd tournaments that's, it's not in Alberta, but it is a part of the Cold Garden Cup as well.
Oh, yeah, great series, and thanks so much to Cold Garden for all they did in the 2024 season to sponsor our amazing disc golf tournaments in Western Canada.
See Eric as he tees off through that Cold Garden Tower. This is a great location to be. It's nice and safe.
Yeah, a great group of drives so far, and now just a question if Thomas can keep up with the pack and if they can keep their nerves under control on the second shot.
Yeah, and as you can see there, Thomas with a really good start, but unfortunately getting a couple bogeys in a row and able to keep this one at bounds. And that's the closest of the bunch.
Yeah, what a fantastic drive from Thomas.
You have to wonder, how aggressive do you get when you're at this point of the tournament? Only a few stroke backs, and Eric keeping this one on the curb.
Hanging on just by a hair.
Here's Jacob. He's making the smart play here and laying it up.
Yeah, I love that low putt style layup. Same with Noah.
You got to be careful about those temporary baskets, though. You never will know what kind of action you're going to get off that base.
Yeah, a jump off the base could spell disaster here for sure.
But not for these guys, as they're going to play it safe.
Wow. Well, these guys have avoided the worst of the holes so far. This was the most colorful hole as scoring goes, with 46% of the field birdieing it, but also producing a 41% bogey or worse, including 1 triple and 1 quadruple bogey.
There you go. Not a lot of pars on here, which is not typical for this course.
Yes, only 2 pars on the day.
Take a look ahead. Hole 12, it's Marshall Taves. He's pushing at -7 currently. on maybe one of the easier holes. A difference from this from last year is it plays more of an island hole this year. But it is a shorty and a very straightforward shot, and most of these guys should have no problem with it. So watch Luke put that one really close. Brandon getting the skip and a roll. Furthest of the bunch. That's it's good things for this card. Is Brandon able to put that one in for his birdie, and that gets him to -7.
Yeah, as I said, this chase card making the guys on the lead card sweat, already overtaking one and working the way up to overtaking 2 players.
There you have it. I think we are going to get a star frame here as we watch Marshall finishing it out. A very close birdie.
Thanks, Matt.
There we go. Hole 12. That's a par 3. 206 feet. You just watch those other guys play it. Road plays out of bounds, playing similar to an island hole. And it should be pretty stock for these guys. Just a really easy, low speed putter. Do it on forehand and get it in there.
Yep, I guess you throw anything you want to be 25 feet left and let the disc do the work and skip on in.
Here's Noah Higgins starting us off on hole 12. Maybe earlier release than what he wanted. And he doesn't make the island.
Oh,
Jakob,
double no.
bit of a poor skip off the road.
Yeah, a little bit of a straight anti-skip there. I don't know if he was intending to play the road or not. It obviously didn't work out for him this time, but looks like a play that could work.
Yeah, and he just did, like, it was an odd skip off that road. Looked like it was going to carry, but it did not. So watch Eric put that one in. More typical shots here from Eric and from Thomas,
Wow.
but he goes out on that backside. That was, like we said, new for this year, out of bounds on the backside. And this is not an easy drop zone either.
Oh, wow.
And Noah, always dangerous from anywhere on the course.
Yeah, he just produces so much pop. No jump on that, nothing, and he's high of the basket.
Mm-hmm. Which also brings its own danger with that out of bounds behind the basket. Maybe a little bit fortunate there, and Tom doesn't really want anything to do with that, so he will just simply put it under the basket. Safest place to be. We just talked about this being one of the easier holes on the course. Shorter, easy, stock shot, and, we're seeing some scores going the wrong way.
This was one of the easiest holes, and it had 14 birdies on the day and 7 bogeys. So you are seeing almost half of the bogeys for the tournament from our leader group here.
But Thomas with the smile gives a thumbs up, even though he just came away with the bogey. He's out here having fun, as are a lot of these folk from Saskatchewan. Just a great tournament to come to. If you haven't been out this way, I highly recommend it. Just an awesome event. Really ran really well. Lots of great people and some great disc golf.
Yeah, I've said it 100 times, but the land looks beautiful, and you see like the flyover of the building where Tournament Central is. The amenities look great. I'm assuming there's camping on site or nearby.
We're playing through the campground right now.
Yeah, what a location for a weekend away. Hang out with some great people and play some awesome disc golf.
Look at that scorecard from Marshall. He is really making a push here. That birdie will bring him to -9. Luke had that long comeback putt, putting his drive way far, which is not something you often see here. But unfortunately, Kyle getting the bogey. Let's take a look at that scoreboard as Noah hanging on to a 2-stroke lead over Thomas. Marshall chasing him down. He's up to 3rd place. He's only 1 stroke back of Thomas now. Luke and Brandon, you just saw as well, -7, tied with Jacob. And then we got Kyle at -5, Eric at -3, Logan and Brandon rounding out our top 10.
Yeah, Marshall 7 down well above anybody else for the hot round of the day and paying dividends on the scoreboard here, up into solo third.
Yeah, and you love to see that from the chase card, putting some pressure on that lead card. Here it is, hole 13. It's a par 3. It's only 225 feet, but this one is challenging because you have the Park triple mandatory that you have to compete with.
Yeah, late gaps can often be ever more challenging. This one only at 225 feet and the gap being at 190 of those. I suspect these guys will just pick their straightest flying disc that they're most comfortable releasing on and put one up the middle.
Here we have it. Eric, kind of a roller coaster round, able to string together a couple of birdies. See if he can keep that going. Going at the forehand here.
Yeah, fade.
Hits the mandatory.
That's another not quite missed hit mandatory for Eric. His forehand's just seeming to be a little streaky during this round. And like I said, a little bit of consistency for Eric, and I think he'd be throwing together a fantastic score.
That's a great low burner from Noah, and just able to put that one right near the basket. That the later triple mandatory can present its own challenges. Fortunately, at only 225 feet, it's not the end of the world on this hole.
Yeah, and a fair place to have a putting opportunity from if you do, in fact, miss that mandatory.
Thomas able to sneak through that mandatory, but he is going to wish he was in a different spot as he is in that deep brush. We'll see what kind of a look he has coming up after Eric here.
Yeah, unfortunately, just a little undercommitted. Not enough angle to swing it around the corner. Hopefully enough space to make stance because he did bring it in fairly close to the basket.
Here's that look from Thomas. Not a lot going on there. But able to get it out. He'll be able to clean that one up for par. Here's Jacob able to put that one in for a birdie.
Yep, getting himself separated from the impending chase card.
Eric from the bushes putting that in for par. And Noah, the closest of the bunch off the drives, getting a stroke on Thomas, extending his lead back to 3 strokes.
Yeah, 3 strokes, a little more room to breathe there, relieve some of that pressure.
Yeah, and when you got a guy like Thomas, he's got such a smooth demeanor about him. And you got a guy chasing you down like that, you got to make sure that you calm your nerves, and it looks like Noah's able to have done that after having a couple of rough holes at the start of the round 1 or round 2.
Definitely not the round that he imagined after the streaky hot start. Not streaky, streaking hot. So there's a Queen lyric there somewhere. But Noah had the hottest start he could possibly have, then kind of slowing it down in round 2, and I'm sure it's in his head right now.
As we watched Luke putting in the birdie, getting the lone birdie on this card, bringing him to -8. He's chasing those guys down as well. Here it is, hole 14. It's a par 3, 248 feet. This is more of your park style hole. A lot of open airspace, but there are some trees to contend with here, and of course the dreaded elevated basket. And a little bit of a checkers going on there as well.
Yeah, a little bit of design on the dance floor. Another very fair distance, fair gap hole. Just keeping your nerves about you when you approach the elevated basket, and this should be pretty routine for our guys here.
Here is Noah leading us off. Keeping this one nice and low. Really straightforward shot here. Should have no problem with that putt.
Yeah, Noah's straight backhand has looked great on the few holes he's had to use it.
Jacob with a little more height than maybe what he wanted, but able to crash that one in. A little bit of distance left on that putt, and maybe a little bit of challenge with that elevated basket.
Yeah, maybe something we didn't talk about is You probably want to land this disc about 25 feet short because landing on the patio blocks could produce a much bigger skip and a much bigger comeback putt.
Yeah. Thomas able to put this one in as well. Will leave himself a little bit of a putt here. He just gets that one to drop on the left-hand side of the chains, but all smiles for Thomas here as he gets that birdie.
Yeah, nice soft putt on the elevated basket. He's not producing any comebackers. Same with Jakob.
There's Eric. That is more of the putt that we're used to seeing from Eric. Nice flat release with confidence.
Yeah, I love to see that for Eric. There's still a lot of scoring to be had in this round alone, and I think if he can straighten things out, he can stay competitive.
That is some might be our first star frame of the day on this for this card, or
No, remember, or was that for the other card?
that was the other card.
Our Brad Pitt cameo.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great star frame. Nobody getting jitters on the elevated basket.
As we watched some great drives there. Deja Vu Cafe, thank you for supporting disc golf in Saskatchewan. As we watch Kyle Wiens almost putting that one in. Luke wishes he had that putt back.
Yeah. No doubter for Brandon, though.
Here is Marshall. Trying to keep pace with that lead card, sitting at -10 after that birdie putt.
Yeah, he's firmly in solo third place, and Brandon and Luke are tied up with Jakob, which is probably fourth place unless the third card is putting on a show.
Here is hole 15. It's a par 3, 255 feet. We are in a string of shorter holes here, but there is a lot of trees here to contend with. Again, you're going to want to put this one nice and low because there's not a lot of airspace up above these trees. But a big green.
Yeah, a very big green. Yeah, the trees aren't too close, so as long as you get inside the ring of trees, you should have good unobstructed putts. I'm sure that these guys will do a great job of that. And honestly, even if you hit the guardian tree branches, the drop down puts you somewhere in the middle of circle 2.
First up, we have Noah Higgins here on hole 15. Currently sitting at -3 on the round. And that's like you said, you can hit some foliage and you still be okay.
Yeah, that fell to well in circle 1, maybe 20 feet.
Jakob also catching some trees. He'll have a little bit of a longer putt, but still a good look.
Yeah, and that disc was coming off its line, and I think the trees might have even saved him.
Here's Eric. The much lower play, maybe a little bit too low, overcompensating a little bit, but he'll have a long putt.
Yeah, definitely the safest way to play the hole.
This one from Thomas is more of what you want to see. He puts that one real close. Here's Jakob, scaring the chains, but unable to get it to drop.
Yeah, just off the front side from the horseshoe pit, a little further, and that would have been dead on.
There we go. Little step up from Eric,
Yeah,
getting it to drop.
talking his comeback into existence. I would love to see it.
Here's Noah. He has no problem with that birdie.
Now on Thomas, just got to make the routine putt. Yeah, doesn't want to let that lead get any bigger and have Noah slip away from him again.
Yeah, and you got to wonder how that's playing into his head. He brought it to a tie, and now he's down by 3 strokes again. You know,
Yeah, definitely can affect your mental game when you think that you've done everything right and then you just lose the magic and don't know how to get it back.
There's another look at that putt from Eric. Great replay here, brought to you by Deja Vu Cafe. Here is the gorgeous hole 16. Marshall not wanting anything to do with that putt. Maybe a half bit from Brandon there.
Yeah, this is a very elevated basket, so you got to give it a real good push to keep it up there.
And Eric does just that, getting the birdie to drop.
Oh, we've got the basketball putt.
Luke with the basketball putt.
Yeah, Luke always putting on a show.
Yeah. He put that one really close, which is definitely something you expect from these guys with the big arms. Able to just put something out on hyzer, as we'll get to fly over soon. And, tradition is to sign the tower after you play it. So
Oh, yeah, look at all the signatures. That's a cool tradition.
we'll take a look at our scoreboard here. We have Noah, as we mentioned, on the top. Thomas, 3 strokes back. Marshall chasing those guys down at -10. And then we got Luke and Brandon, -8. Jacob at -7. Kyle at -6. Eric climbing his way back to a -3. He's at +1 on the round. Logan and Dan at -2, rounding up the top 10.
Yeah, it looks like taking advantage of the scoring on the shorter course is paramount to tournament success. 2 of our lead card guys have been pushed off already. And I wonder if they can turn it around to finish this off back where they started in the leader group.
Yeah, and there, like we mentioned, there's still a lot of scoreable holes. This is one of them. It's hole 16. It's a par 3, 310 feet. A lot of these guys will go up and over these trees on a stock hyzer, just have something drop and crash into the basket. If you catch some of these trees, you are likely to fall out of bounds.
Yeah, the trees have been friendly to our players on many of the holes so far. This is not going to be the case on this one. Otherwise, after making the gap, just let your disc settle in close as you can to this elevated basket, take the drama off the putt, and walk away with your birdie.
Yeah, and like we were talking about, this is maybe the challenge on this hole at only 310 feet is that elevated basket. It's all about getting it as close as you can. Noah, after getting on a bit of a birdie train here, getting the turkey, putting this one up over the trees like we mentioned, just having it drop really close. That's exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, that's a great shot. And I love how far he pushes that hyzer around the tree, never lets it come into danger ever.
Here is Eric. He looked like he was pretty close to those trees, but able to sneak it up above on the backside. Maybe a little bit longer of a putt than what he wanted.
Yeah, that's still within his putting range. Right in the ones where you start to think about how high elevated that basket is.
Yeah, and he had his putting woes at the start of the round, but he has cleaned it up on the last few holes, so hopefully he can put that one as we watch Thomas putting it near the building here.
Yeah, curious to know if they're allowed to get relief from the building, as Thomas looks like he might be close enough that stance could be awkward there.
Here's Jacob scaring Vicky, our camera lady. Huge shout out to Vicky coming out and filming this one with us.
And this is almost in the layup range if you're not feeling confident.
That was a good half bid from Jacob, really close to getting that one to go.
Yeah, a nice pace to not have a big comebacker.
Here's Eric. Oh, so close.
Yeah, just inches from squeaking it over the rim.
That's a great birdie from Thomas.
Little
Putting
fist
that one
bump. Yeah, love the camaraderie, even from the players that are competing the hardest against each other.
Jacob, he needed that one to fall.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, when you got Noel kind of separating himself from you, Jacob really to keep himself into contention needed that one, but unfortunately not able to get it. And now he's got those guys on chase card nipping at his heels, and hate to see it.
No way. Maybe just a little left side. You have to be very conscious about the height at which the disc meets the chains on these elevated baskets when you're that close. That angle, it wants to push the disc back out.
Fortunately, coming away with a double bogey here. That drops him to -7 on the round, and definitely at a place where Chase Card will chase him down as we watch Thomas adding his name to the board.
Wow.
As you can see from all those names, this is a popular event, as we are seeing a bit of a gallery form here as well, as these guys are closing out their round 2 as we take another look at Noah's Drive here.
Yeah, what a fun hole for spectators as well.
And some of the best sunset photography and videography that you can get, as I'm sure you'll see a few pics from. It's Luke on hole 17. It's 564 feet. This is just an incredible shot. This camera kind of loses it, but just so aggressive. Everything on the left-hand side is out of bounds. I'm sure we'll see where he ends up, but Kyle, this is more the typical play, playing it out to that right-hand side. That is the inbounds play. Anything on the right of that path is inbounds. So Luke was getting really aggressive there, and we'll see where he ends up.
Yeah, so much trust in the turn of his disc. When you're feeling on, I love that play. But like you said, you got to be feeling it, and you got to trust your disc.
And this is maybe one of the more nerve-wracking tee shots too, because what you don't see from this angle is watch Brandon trying to play it safe, but unable to get it as he hits a tree there. But as I was saying, one of the things you don't see from this angle is it's a beach, and on the right-hand side of that grass, it just drops off to the beach, and that is also out of bounds. So it's a very narrow fairway that you have to hit.
Brandon OB again, unfortunately. Just getting a little too much height on that one, falling left out of the sky.
And there is, I believe this is, it's Kyle getting some tree. I remember this shot now. He got some chair love. I believe his disc was about to go out of bounds and bounced off one of those chairs and stayed in bounds.
Getting friendly with the spectators.
Yeah. There is a hazard area right around where Kyle ended up, and that is a danger that comes into play. And watch Marshall just put this one up real close, playing the textbook play of this hole.
Yeah, making it look easy.
Brandon kind of battling his way to the hole and almost drops that one in. Kyle skipped past the hazard that you saw, but this is where Luke's drive ended up.
Wow.
Just crazy. He has a chance at the eagle here.
Yeah, carrying all of the 564-foot distance and dropping it in the circle.
Yeah, he is further than the basket. Unfortunately, unable to capitalize there. But he will get the birdie, comebacker. Just an incredible drive from Luke. You love to see it. And anytime Luke's on camera, you can expect shots like that. And that birdie will go a long ways to hopefully getting himself on lead card tomorrow, as Brandon kind of watching those chances slip away here.
Yeah, he was in contention at -8, within a stroke or two of being in the middle of that leader group.
We will fly hole 17. It's a par 4, 564 feet. As we mentioned, OB on the left side of this path. And then we have the beach on the right-hand side. The easy play, the layup play, the smart play it nice and low into this fairway and give yourself a 300-foot, 250, 300-foot look to the basket here. Hazard behind those trees on the left-hand side. There is some wood chips there, and everything else playing OB.
Yeah, as we saw in our chase card check-in, there are a couple ways to skin this cat, and I'm sure you could see a putter play just as often as you can see somebody really try and rip it and get it up there.
Here's Noah. 4 birdies in a row.
And definitely known more for the rip it play.
Getting a lot of distance on this, but that is way out of bounds, and it does not look like it's going to come back. It is in the water.
Wow. All the distance in the world.
So we see some vacationers, maybe disc golf curious there in Jackfish Lake.
Yeah, curious of what's falling out of the sky at them. Maybe it just made them aware as Thomas throws his shot and they've all turned around.
And Thomas maybe smelling some blood in the water there as we watched Noah go out of bounds, and Thomas able to keep this one in bounds, but he will have those trees in front of him to contend with. Eric putting this one, just getting a little bit too much over top.
Yeah, another one to find the water. Just too much turn out of his hand. I was wondering if maybe just a bit of a misrelease, trying to throw that stability with a bit of hyzer might help it push around the corner.
Here's Jacob. Really nice layup here. Just keeping it a bounce, keep it on the fairway.
Super smart play. It's not asking a lot of distance for a 2-shot par 4.
No. And pushing into that hazard, but looks like he's safe.
Yeah, safe on the short side with a lot of obstruction on his putt.
Here's Eric. After going out of bounds. Lots of distance covering, unfortunately getting the early release, and that looks like it's trouble as well.
Yeah, just a bit of an overcorrection from his tee shot maybe. And that's unfortunate because regardless of the OB, he was in great position to attack the basket.
Mm-hmm. Here is Noah from a very similar spot. See if he can make the correction. Yes, pulling this one a little bit wider, but not quite wide enough. He ends up in the similar spot.
Yeah, scary looking at the beach the whole way, but thankfully he managed to be short of the hazard and inside the inbounds area.
And that was an opportunity for Thomas to really put one close, but he gets it to drop anyways.
Wow.
What a putt from Thomas.
That is our putt of the tournament for sure.
My goodness, after the upshot leaves him with quite a bit of distance here. Just a casual step through.
Yeah, circle 3 makes it happen for Thomas. Yeah, watch him run it in. I would be pumped, and I'm sure he is too.
What a great putt. And when he needed it the most, that brings him to minus 14 as he's chasing down Noah. We'll see how Noah responds. Here is Noah. Kind of a funny spot here. Scares the chains, but not able to get that. And I do believe that's a 2-stroke swing.
Yeah, that's a 2-stroke swing that will bring these guys back tied, but not to discount Noah's effort. You know, finding chains through that gap is still fantastic work.
I do believe that Noah will still have a stroke on him after that, but
Thomas's stroke probably already on the scoreboard.
yes, exactly. So we see it there. 1 stroke separating our leaders here. Here is our chase car bringing us some hot action today. Rounding it out on hole 18. Here's Luke. This is one that you can just let loose on. Lots of OB to contend with, lots of trees to contend with. Putting that one over top.
Yeah, another par 4 that's inside his range. Curious to see if he's made it to the green again.
Marshall catching that first tree, and that is not what you want to see from someone who is chasing down a spot on lead card. Here is the roller play from Kyle, and this looks great.
Yeah, I love to see a roller. You don't see too many in Canada and on the Canadian Disc Golf Tour in general, as many of our courses are quite rugged. It's not a skill that a lot of guys have in their bag.
There, as you can see, there are a lot of different ways to attack this hole. Brandon putting that one over top as well. Here's a recovery forehand shot. Lots of trees to contend with, and he's didn't quite get as much as he wanted off there, but hopefully able to recover here. And oh, Marshall.
Yeah, just a little soft out of his hand on that one. He's going to be left with the tricky putt from the tree line.
Yeah, and this is that's a rough way to finish after such a good round 2 here for Marshall, and unable to really bring it home in hole 18.
Yeah, we saw Brandon make the opposite mistake, pushed a little too straight. He will be maybe quite deep in the rough.
Here's Luke's drive, and he making the smart play and just laying it up.
Yeah, that should be a tap-in birdie for Luke, and that could punch his ticket to the lead card tomorrow.
So I believe this is Brandon from the trees, maybe. Is Kyle unable to get that one to drop?
Yeah, thankfully a short comebacker.
Marshall finishing off at -10 with that bogey. Still a great round for Marshall. Kyle finishing off with a par. Brandon, after a good start, unable to bring it home. We'll see Luke here finishing at -11. A lot of green on that scorecard. Here is hole 18. It's a par 4, 491 feet. The path is OB, and the parking lot on the left-hand side is out of bounds as well. The drone flying this low sort of roller route, as we saw Kyle take. And your first drive, if you can land it anywhere in this area, you are looking great for a nice, easy upshot into this elevated basket on a slope with a bit of a narrow opening here.
Yeah, key for people planning to take a distance off the tee, just making sure they get the left to right landing of the disc in the right spot to have a straight look at the basket for what should be a very routine putter up shot. Use the hill for breaks, settle up, and take the hard part away, and just drop your putt in on the elevated basket.
Yeah, and the over-the-top play that we saw a couple of those guys do, this seems to be the common play as we look at Thomas. He's eyeing up over the top on the right-hand side on the hyzer row. And unfortunately, if you end up a little bit too far to the right, it really takes that angle away that you want to attack that green. Noah making the correction.
Yeah, that looks great from Noah. I'm sure, the balance between pulling it too far and giving yourself a poor access to the gap or early releasing it and contending with the OB parking lot is the thing going through their minds as they approach the tee.
So watch Jacob also going up and over. Giving himself the angle he needs. Getting some love from the gallery. Not only does he got the stash going on, he's rocking the aviators today.
Yeah, I was having a laugh to myself because he said that his fun fact was that he has a tramp stamp, but he also has a porn mustache. So is he delivering the pizza or getting the pizza delivered to him? I don't know.
Who knows? There we go. That is Eric, unfortunately, going out of bounds in that parking lot. This is kind of a tricky lie for Thomas and very unlucky.
Yeah, I'm impressed that he can get in there, and it looks like making a swing is a great challenge.
Oh, catching the barbecue.
Wow. That could change your disc forever.
Very well could. Here's Eric with the open gap, but unfortunately early releasing it. Not the recovery you want after going out of bounds. Here's that tricky sort of access that we're seeing Thomas having to contend with after hitting the barbecue. And just doesn't quite get the angle that he wants there.
Yeah, the rough on that side seems deep, and it looks like the hill also slopes away, compounding the issue. Might be overhand or nothing to get out of that bunker.
And that is just a textbook play from Jacob. Great landing spot on the fairway. Great upshot. Putting it close. See if Noah can follow suit. He does. Putting it on the high side, which is maybe not where you want to be, but that's close enough that it shouldn't cause any issues. So we watch the players and crowd finishing up hole 18 here in round 2. Thomas from the trees, unable to get that one to drop. But he has already done enough work. He's really close to knowing he'll have a good chance tomorrow to bring some strokes back as we watch Eric putting in the par. Kind of an up and down round for him.
Yeah, nice to make that putt to finish it out. Give a little wave to the gallery and then go enjoy a nice cold beverage on the beach and get ready for tomorrow's round.
Let's watch Thomas finishing out with the bogey.
Yeah, only 4 pars on that scorecard. He did a lot of great work today.
He did. And, Noah, after a rough start, finishing with a -5 on the round, -16 on the tournament, still holding on to that lead after giving up the tie. He was tied at one point with Thomas and, got to feel good going into round 3 with a 3-stroke lead.
Yeah, definitely rallied halfway through his round and made the best of things. Sets himself really well going to the final round to take home the tournament.
Huge shout out to PDJ Canada, and that was the tournament director, Evan Zimmer, there. As we see Thomas getting some love from a significant other. That is a love for disc golf, love on the course.
I love love.
Who doesn't love love? There we go. There you have it. Noah, those two guys battling it out. We'll see what they can come up with tomorrow as these guys, some friendly camaraderie. I was going to say this was a great card to watch, great card to, see play and see their good vibes all over as we take a look at our scoreboard for the final time on round 2. Noah Higgins at the top, -16, Thomas at -13, Luke at -11, Marshall -10, Jacob -7, Brandon -6. We got Kyle at -5, Logan and Eric at -3, and Christian Roach rounding out our top 10 at -2.
Yeah, this is the first time we haven't seen a 4 to 6 way tie somewhere in the middle of the top 10. Enough golf to separate things going into the final round. Looks like there's a couple guys in striking distance and a lot of challenges for that last podium position as well.
Yeah, and that's going to be a fantastic league card. Be sure to catch us for round 3. We are back at Jackfish Lake. Thanks for watching.
See ya.